Hey everyone, today we're going to be exploring the Chelsea neighborhood of New York City. It expands roughly between 14th Street all the way up to 34th Street, in between 6th Avenue and the Hudson River. For a little bit of historical context, in the 1750s, Chelsea was originally an estate owned by a retired British major, Thomas Clark, who named it after the Chelsea neighborhood in London. In the 1800s, it became a hub for row houses, theaters, immigrant communities as well. Transitioning to the 1900s, it was known for industry, with many warehouses, and later, the iconic Chelsea Hotel, where many artists and musicians would stay. Also, a lot of the former industrial spaces in Chelsea were transitioned into affordable housing, row houses, and lofts. In the 1980s to the 1990s, Chelsea had a major transition again into an art district with dozens of galleries moving into the former industrial spaces. There's over 200 art galleries in Chelsea, making it one of the largest art districts in the world. Famous for the Chelsea Hotel, a historic residence for artists, writers, and musicians, some of which include Bob Dylan, Patti Smith, and Andy Warhol. Also has a very large, notable LGBTQ+ community with vibrant nightlife and history of activism. So we're on the corner of 28th Street and 6th Avenue, or Avenue of the Americas. We're going to be making a right and headed down all the way to the meatpacking district on today's tour. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started as we zoom up on this gorgeous shot of the Empire State Building. Some of my favorite attractions about the Chelsea neighborhood include the High Line, in addition to the Chelsea Market. Fun fact, not a lot of people know about this, but Google, or Alphabet, who owns Google, owns the Chelsea Market. You'll see that a little bit later on in the tour, but Google's main headquarters is quite literally across the street from Chelsea Market as well. You also have Hudson River Park, which during this time of year, we're filming this on September 12th, 2025. This is one of the best times to visit New York City and take advantage of Hudson River Park because it's not too hot, but it's also not too cold either. If you were to cross over to 7th Avenue or Fashion Avenue, you'll see the major Fashion Institute of Technology, which is a SUNY school in the State University of New York. I'll give you a view of a lot of the apartment buildings that have been going up on 6th Avenue, many of which are luxury rental apartments. It is also Fashion Week in New York City, so you'll be seeing a lot of that activity this weekend, particularly if you venture out to Tribeca or to Soho. We're approaching the corner of West 26th Street. down a lot of the side streets from the avenues here, you'll see a lot of the original pre-war buildings. You're also not too far away from Madison Square Park. As you're walking down 6th Avenue, I'll try to adjust the brightness. You have this perfect view of the spire of the World Trade Center in the distance. It's a very, very unique view. Almost looks like a painting when you are in person. One interesting thing that happened today right here in New York City, 42nd Street, right at the NASDAQ headquarters, we had Gemini, which is the cryptocurrency exchange that is owned by the Winklevoss twins. They went public with an IPO on the NASDAQ today. I believe they priced it around $28 a share. Obviously, the Winklevoss twins are famous for their relationship with Mark Zuckerberg and that whole massive litigation about if Mark stole the idea of Facebook from the Winklevoss twins and vice versa. You can research a little bit about the story in the Social Networks movie. But then in 2011, they went on to discover Bitcoin. And then they've created one of the top exchanges called Gemini. And now they've taken that company public. Take a quick detour here. This is 23rd Street. This is where you can get the PATH train. The PATH train will take you to New Jersey. You could also get the F and M trains here. But right in between these buildings, you see a very, very notable development. This is 262 Fifth Avenue. That is the building that is now blocking the view of the Empire State Building from Madison Square Park. It's going to house, I believe, only 26 luxury condominium units. Coming up to 21st Street. Make a right on 20th Street and head westbound. We'll cross over to 7th Avenue, or Fashion Avenue as they call it. If I stand here, you can see some of the beautiful pre-war building. I mean, some of these are from 1929. This is what the area used to look like. Here you're going to be able to see a lot of those old kind of like warehouse industry buildings that have been converted. There'll be a lot of retail space for lease. You'll have really tall ceiling heights, which is a big plus. It's a big bonus. But as we head further west, you're also going to see your fair share of a mix of townhomes as well. I foresee over the next few years, if you see these parking garages here, a lot of these will probably be torn down or converted into residential condos, because a lot of those buildings are really in just disrepair, if we're being honest. They're so old, and oftentimes it's not worth the sponsor to repair the building, so they'll either just try to sell out entirely to a developer and build something like this. Like you see, this is new development here, which is residential. You can see the change of the neighborhood in real time. This is quite the good example, actually, because you can see the brand new residential units to the left, soaring ceilings, but on the right, you still have that original pre-war. And what has happened is the original owners of these buildings, it's becoming very costly for them to maintain the facade, to do upgrades to the interiors. Some of these buildings are going on 100 years old. So oftentimes it might just be worth it to either redevelop the property and repurpose the property altogether, or just sell the property to a real estate developer and have them build something entirely new. This is the New York Dog Spawn Hotel. Quite the interesting business. So if you're a New Yorker and you're traveling out of the state or maybe out of the country, you could drop your dog off here and they'll take care of it for you. I really do enjoy the cityscape views of those New York City water towers. For whatever reason, I find them quite enjoyable to look at. Here you have another example of these parking garages. And New Yorkers, if you just want to park your car for a month, you could expect to pay anywhere from $550 a month for a standard size, compact car, all the way up to $3,000 a month if you have what's called an exotic vehicle. And I've actually been working with a lot of these, let's just say, parking garage operators, and many of them just want to get out of the business, because if you have an exotic car, like a Range Rover or a car really that costs, $100,000 plus, it's almost uninsurable. So the rent that, the car owner is giving the garage, it's not worth it for them to take it, because what if they scratch your Maybach, or what if they scratch your Lamborghini, or what if you get a door ding on your Bentley? It's just not worth the headache. So it's created an environment where if you own a luxury or an exotic car, you almost have quite literally nowhere to park your car. You could just hand people money, and oftentimes they won't take it. So what a lot of those garage operators are doing is they're doing condo conversions on the individual spaces. As crazy as that may sound, that's what they're doing. So let's say if you have a garage with 100 individual spaces in the garage, the owner, or the sponsor is what we call it, will go to the city or the AG, and they'll file paperwork or file paperwork to do a condominium conversion and generate individual tax lots for each space. So if you have 110 spaces in the garage, and you could sell each space between $175,000 a space to $350,000 per space, well, guess what? You'd make out rather well on a full sellout. And now the sponsor is completely free and clear of all liability because he is selling the individual tax lots. In any event, here we are on 7th Avenue. So oftentimes, as a broker or agent here in New York City, I'll get a call on a recent listing I sold or a listing that I have up that's marketed off Street Easy. And people will be like, oh, I'm interested in the listing. It's, for $300,000 on 69th Street. Thinking it's an apartment. These people think it's an apartment. But I'm like, no, this is a parking space. This is a non-livable dwelling. It's really, really crazy that, in most places in the United States, you could buy a single family home for $350,000. But in Manhattan, that will get you literally, barely a 10-foot long slab of concrete to park your vehicle on for $350,000 in some cases. So the further west we walk, you're going to start seeing a lot more of the townhouse style living, which here in Chelsea is very, very beautiful. The blocks will grow quieter. It'll be a little bit more residential in nature. It's really nice. Very, very nice neighborhood.
Who's going to be the best man in your wedding? So, I think my last
You have a lot of the older pre-war apartment living here. Coming up on the left, you're going to have the precinct. This is the NYPD's 10th precinct. And you'll notice the wind start to pick up a little bit as we continue to head west. That's because we're getting closer and closer to the Hudson River. But generally speaking, guys, I really like the cityscapes here. I mean, aesthetically, these brick buildings look quite nice. Porsche seems to be a little bit banged up. We're now coming up to 8th Avenue. This is now 8th and 20th Street.
No one can hear, but at the same time, it's all I have my
I do want to cross over one more time, just because I think it's important to highlight even more of the row homes and the townhomes. Just so throughout the duration of the video, you can kind of get a sense of just how much the neighborhood has changed over the years and continues to change. Looks like they're doing some major construction here. New retail storefront, perhaps. I have a few friends who recently, well, when I say recent, I mean within the last 5 years, purchased brownstones, like dream home brownstones, near Prospect Park in Brooklyn, New York. And they're beautiful properties, but ever since they acquired them, they just constantly complain about the maintenance. So I'd warn you, even though these buildings look absolutely gorgeous, if you're going to buy something that's quite literally 100 years old, it may look super aesthetically pleasing, but just know that it's really going to come at a cost. The maintenance, the repairs, the upkeep on properties like that can be quite substantial. If you think about, just the plumbing, the electric, the HVAC. Speaking of HVAC, you'll see in many of these older apartments, they have window ACs. And oftentimes, you're not even allowed to put central air conditioning in some of these buildings, depending on select circumstances. So there's really a lot that goes into it. And that's also assuming you're buying a single family asset. If you're buying a single family asset that is, let's just say, needs a little bit of TLC, the cost to do all those repairs could be, the sticker price times 2. But still, doesn't take away from the beauty of these homes. Like the aesthetically pleasing, I would say, from the outside. Just beautiful properties. I don't think anybody would argue with that. Like to have something like this right in New York City, with these beautiful stoops. Even look at this one, guys, across the street. Let me just get past this white van here. I mean, just something like this. Look at how gorgeous that is. You have those planters on the windowsill there. But again, you see those window AC units. Could definitely be a downside for some folks, but it's definitely not debatable that the neighborhood's beautiful. You know, still my favorite neighborhood for brownstones specifically and luxury townhomes has to be Brooklyn Heights. We've done a few walking tours in the past of Brooklyn Heights. I want to get back there and do another one, specifically in the fall, because the tree-lined streets there are unlike anything you'll ever see in New York City. The Brooklyn Heights brownstones. Okay, we're now going to continue our walk westbound. And we're going to come up on 9th Avenue now. These are really nice too. More multifamily, but still really beautiful. And here's a good example of how the neighborhood has changed, right? Like, these are luxury apartments, luxury condos on the corner of West 20th and 9th. But you see here, they've actually done a really good job, I think, with keeping the overall development in tune with the neighborhood. So you don't really have that stark contrast as you have here. Like, you could see the Hudson Yards development to the right, all those glass buildings. That contrast is pretty striking, right? I mean, would you agree? I'll try to zoom in on it. You could see the edge observation deck. It almost looks like an entirely different city in and of itself, the Hudson Yards. In many cases it is, but a development like this where you have the red brick facade, it's kind of nice, honestly, with the greenery on the roof. It's not bad. Also, if we were to walk over one more block, that's going to be the High Line. And the High Line will take you all the way from Chelsea Market to the Hudson Yards. So there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of perks to living in Chelsea. Look at that contrast, pretty cool. You see all the luxury condos that make up the Hudson Yards.
They won't move, but they won't move.
Look at how unique this is. See the school crossing guard definitely feels more community feel. Lots of, young families. This block right here reminds me of some of the blocks on the Upper West Side. Right around Halloween, if you ever take a walk on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, specifically, I would say 68th Street between 80th Street and Central Park West, you're going to see a lot of streets that look like this, but more brownstone style. And my God, is it nice. Doesn't that look nice, guys? Friday afternoon, picking the kids up from school. It really doesn't get better than that. Nice weather.
They have taekwondo.
Beautiful architecture on these buildings. I'm sure all of you already know this since it's pretty common knowledge, but the reason why we have stoops here in New York City is because back in the day, there were no cars, there were no vehicles, so the streets were all mud. And how did people get around? Well, they got around horse and buggy, also transporting goods through horse and carriage. So the horses would, defecate on the street. You would step through it, and the stoops were meant to be a little bit of a barrier. So if you walk past the stoops and you see something like this, this is actually to scrape the bottom of your boot off before you enter the home. You would go like this, and the what would rub off before you take it into your house. So if you're ever walking around Manhattan and you see either a brownstone or a townhouse with a stoop, just look very closely at the stoop right here, and you'll see these open spaces where people would use this space to scrape the bottoms of their feet to get rid of the horse what. This looks like an original one right here. You can see right there. So the stoops essentially acted as a way to get people off the ground, so you wouldn't have to live amongst the horse defecation. It's really quite nice. We'll go ahead and get back on 8th Avenue. I just wanted to take a quick detour off the block to give you a more real feel of what it's like to live in Chelsea's more residential neighborhood. I really like what they've done with closing down the street to vehicles and having it only pedestrians. It's such a good idea. Right here is Billy's Bakery. It says drink seasonal pies and breakfast. Definitely a lot of fun activities to do after school. It's more of a mom and pop feel down here. I mean, if you live at Central Park South or something like that, you don't get that community feel as you get down here. At least that's my opinion.
8 shirts.
Wow, that light is so bright shining off of the UPS truck. We'll now cross to the other side of 9th Avenue. We'll check out more of the low-rise. This is West 22nd Street and 9th Avenue for anybody following along. This is what I was talking about. You probably had somebody acquire this and probably turning it into a single family home. I mean, wow, does it look nice? All the brickwork and the masonry on it. Looks great. Now just imagine these streets during the autumn. Here's another residential project that's under construction.
there. Anyway, it's okay. It is what it is. Now we have to deal. So, moi je veux surtout pas que ce soit
Okay, now we're on 10th Avenue. And you're going to be able to see the High Line coming up here in a moment. You'll also see a lot of signs for the Lincoln Tunnel as you're headed down this way. Wow, look at that. Great cityscapes, great vibes. People dining outdoors, enjoying the day. Now back on 23rd Street, where we will make a left, and I'll show you one of the main entrances to the High Line. Definitely not a bad thing to have in your backyard.
But he will.
And this is the entrance to the High Line. I want to continue to walk all the way over to the west side, just so I could showcase the Hudson River Park. Now, from the Hudson River Park, you're going to be able to see one of the most exciting new projects in Manhattan in terms of the residential side. That is. And that is 80 Clarkson. The developers on that deal is the Zeckendorf developers. They are responsible for 15 Central Park West, which is one of the most iconic addresses in all of New York City. Lots of different shops, coffee shops, different galleries. Here we are coming up on 11th Avenue, everybody. You're going to see the beautiful Hudson River Park. And knowing that it's a Friday, there's going to be lots of people out enjoying the weather, enjoying the city. We're close to Chelsea Piers. You'll see a lot of people jogging, getting in some exercise. You really can't beat it, guys. This is actually technically the Chelsea Waterside Park. That's a part of the Hudson River Park. Look at how nice they've done everything. I used to play soccer over here. I'll quickly show you some of the soccer fields. There's children's play area. It's just such a wonderful place. I remember playing soccer here. Looking up and seeing those incredible views of the Hudson Yards. Just what a unique place, right? Playing soccer right on the waterfront at the Hudson River. Really can't beat it. Public restrooms, so many different facilities, all these beautiful condos overlooking the water. And then you have Chelsea Piers. We're now crossing the West Side Highway. To Hudson River Park. The views are going to be great. You're probably going to see a lot of bikers, cyclists, and things like that. You just got to watch crossing because some of these guys go way too fast. Isn't that nice? So much green space. Sort of like you have the best of both worlds. We'll go around those ducks so we don't disturb them, or the geese. I mean, it's really wonderful here. It really, really is. And here we are, everyone, on the beautiful Hudson River. Wow, that water looks great. All right, everyone, if you enjoyed that walking tour of Chelsea, subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and as always, we will see you in the next one, and thank you so much for watching. Take care.